Basketball in the 80s and 90s was a whole different game. If you've ever watched the Bad Boys Pistons try to stop Michael Jordan, you know exactly what I mean.
Jordan lost Vinnie Johnson, and Lambeer just fired at Jordan. Michael doesn't like it.
Fortunately, these kinds of plays are a thing of the past. I mean, in today's NBA, you'd get ejected and suspended for those kind of moves. And if your name is Draymond, it might just be an indefinite suspension. That said, it seems like some players in the WNBA have lost their minds trying to bring back Detroit's glory days, at least when they go up against Caitlin Clark.
Clark? Oh, looks like Clark got smashed, no call.
Unlike the Bad Boys Pistons, however, who wore their toughness on their sleeves, these WNBA players targeting Caitlin Clark try to act innocent and play the victim afterward. But they're not fooling anyone. And in today's video, we're exposing exactly what's been going on.
Clark, the hesitation, working inside the reverse. Oh, and took a big hit there on Jackie Young. And the foul does come. And for the second time here in the last minute, we have seen a heavy collision.
In round one of the WNBA playoffs, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever squared off against the Connecticut Sun. And right from the tip-off, at the start of the game and the series, this went down.
Harassed by Carrington, finds Boston.
As you just witnessed, Caitlin Clark attempted to dish a pass to her teammate, but Dejana Carrington stepped in to contest it, but caught Caitlin in the face instead. Honestly, I wasn't too familiar with Carrington before, since I mainly follow the NBA, so I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt at first. But after watching the replay a dozen times, it's clear that not only was the ball way out of reach, but she also turned her hand into a claw and swiped down.
And Caitlin Clark in pain after she caught that fingertip in the eye or right around it from Carrington with no whistle.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not an NBA or WNBA player, just a diehard basketball fan who lives and breathes the game and plays regularly at the local gym. But I've got to say, whether on the court or on TV,
I can't ever recall seeing someone turn their hand into a claw
and bring it down on another player's face like this. Anyway, to double check myself and avoid any bias, I hopped on YouTube to see how professional defenders usually handle that position. And for this, I decided to watch how NBA defenders guard step-back threes. Because even though Caitlin wasn't attempting one, Carrington was in the same defensive position you'd see when contesting that type of shot. And listen guys, every defender I watched, whether guarding players like Curry, Lillard, or Harden on a step-back three, raised their hands straight up to contest the shot. No bending, no swiping, just straight up and out. They're not turning their hands into claws and bringing them down. Their hands stay straight up, and then they're out of the play. Now, the WNBA refs didn't call a foul on that play, which isn't too surprising given how much Caitlin Clark has been hammered all season.
I feel like I'm getting hammered.
Now, in a later interview, when a reporter asked Carrington about the incident, she laughed. She literally laughed.
When you went and kind of swatted at Caitlin, did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so...
It makes sense she'd laugh too. I mean, I later realized this is the same player who had completely insulted Caitlin earlier this year. Anyway, she later went on to say she didn't even realize she hit Caitlin.
But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually.
Honestly, how do you not realize you hit someone in the eye, especially when they're on the ground crying in pain? But moving on, in that brief interview, and even in her post remarks, there wasn't a single apology. Instead, she played innocent, saying, "I guess I followed through."
I guess I followed through and I hit her, so.
Sheesh. Somewhere in the world, Draymond Green is taking notes on what to say. But anyway, as I pointed out in this interview, Carrington played innocent throughout the whole incident. But later on, she flipped the script and acted like the victim. I mean, after Christine Brennan asked that question during the brief interview, Carrington managed to get the WNBA to publicly denounce the reporter, saying, "Two unprofessional members of the media like Christine Brennan, you're not fooling anyone, blah, blah, blah. You can't hide behind your tenure." They basically tried to get the reporter canceled, aka fired, for asking that question, saying, "You have abused your privileges and do not deserve the credentials issued to you." Yada, yada, yada. The ironic part is that USA Today Sports fired back, defending Christine, saying journalists ask questions and seek truth. So, just to recap, Carrington turned her hand into a claw, swiped Caitlin in the face, and caught her in the eye. She didn't apologize and instead played innocent. Then, when a reporter asked about it, she first laughed, then turned herself into the victim, and with the WNBA, tried to get the reporter fired. She's not the only one, however, who attacked Caitlin Clark and then played innocent. Because up next is the full story of how Angel Reese attacked Caitlin Clark, played innocent, and then pulled out the dang victim card as well. During the Fever and Sky matchup on June 1st, Angel's teammate Kennedy Carter went out of her way to curse at Caitlin Clark before body checking her to the ground. Now, just look at how excited Angel is about that. She literally jumps off the bench, then claps and cheers for her teammate who just physically assaulted someone on the court. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in the NBA start cheering for a teammate after they've assaulted someone on the court. Anyway, Angel faced some backlash for it, and in a later interview, she tried to play innocent, claiming she did it because she always has her teammates' backs.
Angel, what was that moment on the bench that we saw, just, again, standing up in the moment where Kennedy and committed the foul? What was that moment for you?
Yeah, just having my teammates back. Just having a competitive edge. I love my teammates, and I'm always going to have their back, so.
She even said she's willing to embrace the villain role and wrapped up the interview by saying people will remember her too, not just Caitlin.
And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to know that.
It's clear she wasn't apologetic at all about her behavior. I mean, she wasn't celebrating a teammate scoring over Caitlin, which would be perfectly fine, but instead, she was cheering when her teammate assaulted Caitlin. That marked the initial clash between Caitlin and Angel in the WNBA. The second time came when Angel Reese slapped Caitlin Clark on the head, but let me walk you through everything that happened next. First off, during the incident, Angel Reese winds up as if she's going for the ball, but it's clear she likely knew exactly what she was doing. It was a reckless move with no real chance of blocking the shot. Her hand was at least a ball's length away. Athletes know their body and reach, and she should have known whether a block was possible or whether there was no chance at all. Because honestly, this seemed more like an attempt to put Caitlin on the ground than to make a legitimate play. Anyway, it wasn't just a graze. She literally clocked Caitlin in the head. Then, after fleeing the impact, she just walked away. And here's where things get even more sad. So, after the refs announced they were upgrading it from a common foul to a flagrant, Angel was sitting on the bench, shaking her head like she was completely innocent. She literally just clocked Caitlin in the head and then acted like she had done nothing wrong. By the end of the season, Caitlin Clark had outplayed Angel Reese's Chicago Sky, winning the series 3-1 and earning Rookie of the Year honors. In their final matchup, Clark put an end to any comparisons, delivering a performance Angel had never experienced before. 31 points and 12 assists, all while exiting the game with just under 4 minutes left. Meanwhile, Angel stayed on the court, desperately trying for a double-double with only 5 points and 9 rebounds. It was a humiliating moment for Angel. But to save face, she claimed a few games later that she was injured. And then soon after that is where she played the victim card. You see, shortly after declaring herself out for the rest of the season, she posted a lengthy tweet claiming the media had been villainizing her for the past 2 years to push a narrative, saying it wasn't okay. But the truth is, she's the one who created that narrative. I mean, going all the way back to their college days, she taunted Caitlyn in front of the world, cheered when Caitlyn was assaulted, and then for good measure, smacked Caitlyn to the ground without a single word of apology. In fact, instead of apologizing, she said she'd gladly embrace the bad guy role. But when it was all said and done, after Caitlyn had beat her as the best rookie of 2024, she pulled out the victim card? The list of attacks on Caitlyn, followed by playing innocent, just keeps growing. I mean, Diamond DeShields ran into her, and then Cheryl Swoops, the WNBA legend who's been criticizing Caitlyn all season, stepped in to defend DeShields. There was the incident where Skylar Diggins deliberately collided with Caitlyn, and let's not forget the hit from Stephanie Dolson. Honestly, it just keeps happening, but these players need to put a stop to it, and here's why. All season long, people in the WNBA have been saying the league is about more than just one player. Cheryl Reeve made it a point to publicly post on social media, emphasizing that the league isn't all about Caitlyn Clark. Throughout the season, as we've highlighted earlier, players like Angel Reese echoed the same sentiment, constantly saying that people watch the league because of her, not just Caitlyn Clark.
The reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Now, let's look at the facts here. The 2023 WNBA Finals averaged around 728,000 viewers, making it the most watched final in 20 years with a 36% increase from 2022. In Game 1 of the first round matchup between Caitlyn's Fever and the Connecticut Sun, the game drew 1.84 million viewers, despite going head-to-head with NFL football that day. And here's where it gets even crazier. Game 2 of that series pulled in an even higher 2.5 million viewers. That's more than triple the average of the most watched WNBA finals in over 20 years. You can look at all the stats, and they all support the truth. Caitlyn Clark, the player the WNBA has been targeting all year, will be the catalyst for the league's transformation. From being seen as a joke by the majority of sports fans to being recognized as a legitimate sports league. So yeah, the WNBA might be more than just one player, but at the same time, it really isn't. And if you want to know exactly why Caitlyn Clark is making such an impact and why she is the face of the W, check out this video where I break down how she did the unthinkable in just her rookie season.